recording on the computer, and I got some mute sound there, so I'm good to go. All right. And let's see, glad to see you there, Irvin. And I'm going to mute everybody. Okay. So we don't hear your barking dogs, cats, or any other associated miscellaneous sounds. Now, we're going to get started here. We want to talk just some brief housekeeping stuff. Okay. And I'll move this over for just a second. I've got a little bar here. I don't think you guys can see it, but it's getting in my way here. All righty. Now, just a quick look at where we are, and we want to go over to the modules area, okay? And we're going to come down to we're module 9 or week 9. And we'll just talk about what we've got going on as we move through the remainder of the course. And let's see here. Week 9. Pardon me, week 10. Yeah, this is week 9. Yep. Okay. Now we have 2 things to do this week. The first one is the Excel case number 10, and that should have been uploaded a long time ago because we did those cases in advance. And then the trend analysis quiz, which was due, and you should have taken care of that and gotten that handled by now. Now, as I said, we're working through the Excel cases, the Access cases, and today we're going to work on a case called Hollister. And when I go through this, there's a couple of things that you need to bear in mind. First of all, you need to have your book with you. If you don't, you're just going to miss so much. We're working in the Solve It 6.0 book, and we're going to be working on case 5, which is Hollister University, and over on page 210. Okay, and this is the 5th database case, and we're going to do quite a bit of work there. Pardon me, it's not 210. I apologize. Let me see. It's back here. And it is Hollister University is what page? Okay, we did Cascade Pharmacy. That's 4. Number 5 will be Hollister. I'll get us there someday. Okay, database case number 5, Hollister University, is on page 202 of the textbook, and again, we'll take a look at it. But I do want to continue some of this kind of housekeeping or keeping us on track stuff. And at week 10, which is next week, XLS 11 is due, and then exam number 2, part 1, and then exam 2, part 2. Now, I have 2 examples, including as well as instructions on how to handle exam 2, part 2. Okay, and as far as exam 2 part goes, 2 part 1, it's going to look a lot like exam 1, part 1. Now, I have up here a document, all right, and we'll scroll down here that shows that tells everybody here are the resources that you're going to use for these exams and quizzes. And I'll link down over here. Here it is. Resources for BISS 1123 exams. That tells you each exam, each quiz, where to find materials that are related to it. Okay. Now, of course, the Stephen Few textbook, the book, show me the numbers. That's pretty obvious. But with the Solve It 6.0 text and the stuff at the website here in Canvas and the stuff at the supplemental website, that's a little bit different matter, which is why I put this together for everybody. So you shouldn't have any problems knowing what you need to cover, and you've got those coming up. So you're going to have exam 2 and exam part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is always going to be some kind of a hands-on exercise, okay? And that's just typical of how I do that. And that's why when we do these cases, I invariably will use something from one of these cases, a skill, a concept, etc. Finally, and I'm going to go on through this and walk us through, it's important if you have a question, either come to the live session and ask me a question. When you do the chat function, your question is private to me, and you'll notice sometimes I'll go, so-and-so's asked us about blah, 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 and I give them an answer. Or if it's something else that you don't want to share with everybody, you don't have to, okay? But it's imperative that you ask questions if you've got them, or send me an email, and I'll try to answer your questions in that way. Okay, and so that's important. Now, if you have a question about what's happening on a screencast, it's best for you if you send me an email, for example, that says, Dr. Harmon, I'm looking at, give me the name of the video, okay, and at minute 1, 46 seconds, I have a question about what you did here, and I'm happy to answer it. I don't know how many times over the years when I've taught this before we went to Canvas that I would have students say, is there someone over at the school that's a tutor, okay, or would you tutor me? And, of course I can't, but what I could say now is there is a tutor. It's called a recording. It's called Keith Harmon Recorded. And so if you need to, if we cover something, especially in these access cases where everybody's maybe not as gelled up, then that's the point where, what you need to do is to go ahead and to send me a question. Now, I'm also going to say this. The numbers in this section, as far as people who join the live screencast, be it on a Monday when I'm over in Shawnee, or a Wednesday if I'm over here. And of course, I've done these pre-recorded sessions, okay? You're still responsible to see the stuff. So you'll be listening to this at some point. If you don't, you're going to miss some information or whatever, okay? So we're going to be working on that. Now, and then week 11, of course, Truman Assembly, which is an Excel case, and we've done that already. You should have uploaded it. Then Pacific Trading, okay? And then I have a couple of resources there for you on business intelligence and creating VISs, or what are known as visual infographics. And then Teradata University Network, what is it and what is it all about? And then as we go down to the week 12, notice that I have no meeting, no class meetings, okay? It's flex time. You say, why? Well, you've got these 3 things are due, okay? And I'm also giving you time to start to work, and I give you another flex time at week 13, no class meetings, okay, to start to work on the XLS function paper, okay? And I've got information here as well as in the syllabus about the paper, and I'll really be looking for maybe about a 2 or 3 minute presentation, a paper, or maybe a PowerPoint where you show me what it's all about. Now, and as I mentioned, presentations aren't necessary, although if you want to put it into a PowerPoint, that's fine. Okay, but I want you to choose an Excel function, explain to me why you chose it, how it works, and that's good. Then we have a spatial analysis exercise, okay, and I have instructions for it. And then Excel, and then access cases 5 and 6 are due. So now you see why I'm working ahead, because you have this project and this paper, or this paper, okay, or slideshow, and then the spatial analysis, that project, okay, and that gets us to finals week, all right, and you'll see I have, I have instructions galore for what I want for exam part 1, okay. And you can see there's several pieces to part 1, okay, and that's due at the start of the final exam period, okay, and then the final exam parts 2, 3, and 4, okay, are due at the end of the final exam time, okay, And our final exam will be from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock, 8 in the morning till 10 a.m. in the morning on May the 17th. You say, could I do this before? Can I do this in advance? I would certainly, I would encourage you to do so. All right. I wouldn't go in there and try to do these exams. Each they have different amount of points, but they're each 40 minutes. Okay. And I wouldn't put myself into that kind of pressure. You can work ahead. And that's why I gave you the flex time. Okay. At week 14, flex time at work 13, flex time at work at week 12. That gives you those 3 weeks, okay, to go to work on those things. So after next week, now what I will do is I'll be around, if people have questions and so forth. I may even just post, a Q&A or office hours just for your class for this section, and so that if you have questions, you can come in and see me. But I won't be doing any screencasts, and this starts the 12th, week 12, 13, and 14. Okay, and then we get into finals week. Okay, well, all that being said, and I'll repeat this, next week. We'll go back over this next week. And then on week 11, same story there. So you'll have week 12, 13, and 14. Okay, this week, as I said, we're going to work on Hollister. And this is database case number 2. Okay. And we're going to develop an admissions database. And so the access skills, queries, finding records, sorting and grouping and reporting. And the data table we're going to work with is Hollister. So I'm going to go up here to the files section. Okay. Go to the files section and make sure I'm recording good here. All right, good. And I will go over to the SQL, the solution, I'm sorry, Solve It 6.0 solution files, which has all of the, there they are, which has all of the access cases. And we're going to download the Hollister case, which is database case 5. And there's Hollister. And what I do is I would diminish everything down, and I'd put Hollister on my desktop. Okay. And then I'm going to open it up, enable the content, take a look around. You'll see, okay, we've done some work on this. All right, and we're going to embellish on it a little bit. All right, so don't worry about that. And then I'm going to close this off, the file, and I'm going to rename it Hollister. I'm going to call it Hollister Harmon Keith or something like that, and then upload it. Okay, and once we've done a case, all right, once you've observed this, you see, load the case. What makes me crazy is when I see people who just simply, you're either not watching the videos or not paying attention, who just load stuff up, who don't load up files where they could get workshop credit. I mean, I don't understand that, which says you're either, we got some of us who are either not looking at the videos or I don't know what. And folks, look, I don't know how I could make this any more convenient or any more student friendly. Over the years, I've created this model based upon everybody said they wanted. Okay, so don't run yourself out of a good grade. You should be able to do fine. Now, I will often have another file that in the event of some problem or whatever, you can download. And I'll see if there's another Hollister here. Okay. And we'll look at this for or access case 5. There's Hollister. Now that's one from a year ago this May. It's good. You could upload it if something happens. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is try these yourself. If you even just try them, okay. You know, I don't count off if you're trying to do them. Okay. And so, you know, avail yourself of those files. Well, I'm going to diminish this down, and I'm going to go back to my Hollister database here. All right, and I'm going to enable the content. I'm going to start to work through it. Now, in the case, page 202, what we do is it's pretty simple. We've got some information about this this university, okay? And we had our heroes introduced to us, or the protagonist, this Eric Bierman, and they want to develop an admissions database, and they give us some information about different groups of people who want certain types of information about these students who've applied, okay? And that's covered over in page 202 and then 203, okay? And they want to move it from having some kind of a political thing to a workable database. And so we come over to page 204, all right? And they tell us there are 5 tasks in the case, and there are 2 main lists that the faculty requires, and they start to walk us through these tasks, okay? The same, no big deal, same thing that they wanted. All right, before we do anything, let's take a look at the Hollister table, okay? And we're going to go to the design view, and you'll notice we have a last name, then first name, okay? The person's address, and already we have problems with this table because the last name, for example, is not required. It needs to be required, so we need to change that to yes. Then we're going to go to the name first. Yes, we want the first name. You remember, we run into this, the address. Do we want their address? Yes, it's required. And I've gotten on my soapbox enough times about this that you can probably anticipate. Now we come to the state, all right, and we put that this is required, and we put yes. And then as you recall, okay, we could go get a list of the states and their abbreviations, okay, in order to create a drop-down menu that makes it easy to choose the state. And what we're going to do is just choose the abbreviation. Now we've got the zip code, and here we want to require it, okay? Plus we want to do something else. Again, we're building this table to make sure that we capture all the information we want to capture, that it's in a format that's usable and workable for us. And you should be in the zip file, and we're going to clip, we're in the zip file, and I'm going to click on input mask, okay? You'll come down here, field size, click the lookup tab, then field size, format, input mask, choose the 3 dots. And we'll save the table. And it says, okay, how do you want to put the number? And they give us an input mask for zip code. And when they say you can even try it. But what we're going to have is the 5 digits, then the 4 digits. And if they don't have those 4 digits, we're good. Okay, so we're going to click next, and we have the placeholder characters. We're going to click next, and we want it with symbols in the mask. Now we'll click finish. All right, now we're going to come down to alumni, and this is in a simple yes or no format, which is okay. All right. And then we're going to put the phone number, and on the phone number we're going to use another input mask. Okay, and the whole idea on the input mask is simple. We want to control how we input the data and how it's displayed. That's all. All right. Then we want to go down to age. And we want to require that. So we're just kind of cleaning up some of this laziness. And this is another candidate, okay, for this is a lawsuit waiting to happen if you have this kind of database collection. Mail, yes or no? Yeah, trust me, there's enough sensitivity out there. You don't want to go here. We're gonna have to change this. All right, and all righty, we're gonna have to do something with that. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna change this. Well, we'll stick with this for a minute. Okay, and then we're gonna go down to the school. Okay, and is that required? Yes, the school is required. I think this is where they were admitted, and their GPA, we definitely want their GPA. So we're gonna go back here for a moment, and I'm gonna go back up to the table view. All right, and there's the table with all this information. Now, let's start with the zip code because we've got the state and city. Well, let's start with the state table. Now, I think if I'm not mistaken, at one point we had I think I have some files there. Let me check to see, and we'll go to the files section. Well, I'm in there. Okay, and let's see if we can find the states. 9. All right, and we're going to collect, and we're going to create a drop-down menu with the states. Now you say you move awful fast for me, Dr. Harmon. I understand that. I truly do. The bottom line is, you know, you can come back and view this, and my expectation is that you will, just like you might watch game film, that you're going to put some time in, okay? And you'll become more comfortable as we work with this, but certainly you can feel free to take a look at this and to practice with it. Well, I'm not seeing that we have our states. Let's click on a new tab, okay? And I'm going to get a list of state. All right, let's get that out of there. Down here in the search engine, we'll put list. They're going to put it up there of state abbreviations. Here we go, list of state abbreviations. All right, and here we come out here. And they have 50 state abbreviations, 50 states. Here we go. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all this data, and I'm going to copy everything in this table, and I'm going to stop at Wyoming because we don't want to deal with any territories or anything like that. All right. And what did I do to myself there? It's trying to load something printable, I guess. Click that off. And I want to copy this. And then I'm going to put it into an Excel file. They're wanting to sell me something. So I'm going to diminish this browser. I'm going to go into Excel, okay? And I'm going to click Paste, Special, Text, and click OK. All right, now we have a nice, and we want to get rid of the abbreviation. We get rid of those two, those colons there, so we get rid of those. Okay, and we have the state and their abbreviation, and we're going to save this file, and I'm going to save it on my computer, on my desktop, And I'll put it up here, and I'm going to call state abbreviations. Let's call it state abbreves, ABBREVS. Okay, and I'm going to save it. And I've got it on my desktop. I'm going to close it. And you say, are we going to import this? Yes, we're going to import the data into our database. All right, and so I'm going to open up my database. All right, let's close the table off. We'll save the changes, yes. And we're going to click external data. Okay. And then I'm going to import from Excel. I'm going to browse. I'm going to go to the desktop. Okay. I'm going to find where the state abbreviations are. And I'm going to click open. And I'm going to input the source data into a new table. Then I'm going to click OK. First row contains column headings. Yes, we want to check that. And we'll click next. Next. And Alexa Access wants to add a primary key. Why not? And we'll click finish. We'll click close. And there it is. Now it's showing up as sheet 1. So let's open it up. Okay. And now we want to close it. And we're going to name this state abbreves. And so I'm going to rename it. Okay. And I'm ready to do the work on my table. So we're going to come back to the Hollister table and go into design view. Okay. And I'm going to click state. All right. Then I'm going to come down here to the field properties area. I'm going to click lookup. And as usual, I'm going to do a combo box. All right. And we come down to the third line, which is the row source. I click on that third line there, row source. And you'll see the blue button with the 3 dots. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to add the state abbreviations. Okay. Now, I'm going to put the abbreviation in first and the state. Okay. And I'm going to run it, and that it will show me what I've got. So I'll close that query builder. And as usual, when we come back into the design view of the table, we're going to see the SQL or SQL. We're going to come down. We have 1 bound column. We have 2 column counts. Then we come down to column widths. And this is going to be 1 inch because we're just doing the abbreviations. Then a semicolon. And then we'll do 2 inches since we've got the name of the state. All right. And we'll go up to the data sheet view, and it will ask us to save the table, and we do. All right. Now let's come over here for a moment for the state, and we'll move it out and click on the very first record, and you'll see now we have a drop-down menu that lets us input the state. So we've already improved this thing, and over on page 205 in the textbook. They say there are a number of ways the database system could be improved. Well, one of the ways is just to ensure that first of all, we've made sure that every record is complete, okay, by requiring every field. And then the next thing we've done is we've created this lookup table. So we have a drop-down menu, so we don't have to flub up on that. We've got an input mask, all right, on the phone number. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is deal with this issue of mail. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to close this. We're going to close the Hollister table, and we'll save the changes. And we're going to click Create. and we're going to create table design. And here we're going to have we're going to have gender. Let's see. We're going to put gender abbrev. Okay. And then we're going to put gender description. Okay. Now we're going to go up into the text view of this. It's going to say save your table, yeah. And I'm going to call this gender abbreves. Okay. I'll click OK. And we'll go ahead and give it a primary key. And that's the ID. All right, now I want to go back into the design view of this. And on the abbreviation, I want to make sure that it's required. Okay. Then the gender description, I want to make it required. Make sure it's required. So we'll back up here. So you want to say this, yes. And on gender abbreviation, we're going to do this alphabetically. We're going to put F, okay? Obviously, that would be for female. Let's see, and I want to, and then we're going to put female. Okay. And then on the next one, we're going to put M. And this is, and we're going alphabetically here. This will be male. And the third one, we're going to put U, and that's undeclared. All right. And we're going to save the table. Okay. So let's open that gender abbreves back up. And here we have F for female, M for male, U undeclared. Okay. So far, so good. Now we can go back. Now I have this table, and we can go back into Hollister, and we're going to go to the design view. Okay. And on Hollister, instead of male, we're going to put gender. And instead of yes or no, it's going to be short text. Okay. And let's see. I think they had also put, I can't remember if they put ethnic origin in here or not. If they did, you would want to go and you'd have to go to the government and find out how the list and the abbreviations. Okay, we're going to work with what we got here, and we have short text, and we're going to make sure it's required, yes. All right, and we're going to go up to the view, and we click yes. All right. Now on the gender, all right, we want to come over here, and pardon me. Let's go ahead and do the gender, and whoops, I didn't do, okay. We didn't do our lookup table. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let's go back up to the design view. All right, I've got gender, and we're going to create the lookup table. So we're going to do a combination box. Okay. And the row source that's that third line. I'm going to come over here, click on the blue button with the 3 dots, and I'm going to get gender abbreves. I'm going to click add, and then I'm going to select gender abbreviation, then gender description. I'm going to run it. It'll show us what I've got. Okay. And then we'll close this. That's good. And now we're ready to come down to the column count. Okay, it's going to be 2. And the column widths are going to be 1 inch, semicolon, 2 inches. You see the pattern I'm doing is I'm trying to put in output codes that are explained by the drop-down menu. This saves a lot of space, okay, and stops people errors in terms of the input. So we're going to go up here to the data sheet view. We'll save the hour, save the thing, and here we are. Now we're ready to go on the gender, and I'm going to scroll over here, open this up a little bit more. And if it's yes, we're going to put that in for male. If it's no, we'll put that in female. Okay, they put no, it's another female. They put yes, it's a male. We won't have any undeclareds here. And we're going to put yes, it's a male. No, it's a female. So we're doing this, and yes, it's a male. Here's another yes, it's a male. This is a little bit tedious, but that's okay. We'll get it right. No, it's a female. And we'll put yes as a male. No is a female. But yes, so it's going to be male. Male. And then we have a no, which is a female. You can see how we're doing these. And we've got the male. Another male. Then we have a female. And we finish up with 3 males. Okay? And we're going to go back down to the design view. Well, we're going to close the table and we're going to save it. Yes, we want to save it. Okay? Now let's open this Hollis. You said, boy, you've spent a lot of time on the table. Yes. And there's a reason. And I've talked about this before, garbage in, garbage out. If the table is junky, you're going to get junk. Okay? Now over here, we see some candidates, all right, for drop-down menus. One would be a GPA, which you could take it all the way from, whatever the lowest point you think it is up to the highest. Okay, that would be one possibility. All right. Then on the majors, okay, you could put a lookup table in there for it as well, if you wanted to take and abbreviate these instead of having the whole field written out. And then we've got the GRE scores. Okay. And then we've got their references. You can see we start to, I'm going to push that back, we start to really, really, really use a lot of space. We've got a lot of data in this table. Here it is, the ethnicity. Yeah. This is okay as the ethnic. That would also be, if we have none, that probably means undeclared. And that's the only way you could legally handle it. But here again, you could create an Asian, African Asian, Hispanic, and or undeclared. You could add in Caucasian. You'd have to go and get the official list and abbreviations for them, and you'd create a lookup table. Okay, and you'd have that done. So we've made pretty good progress here. All right. And I'm going to close it off. So our table looks good. So we've made some improvements in the database just working in the table itself. Okay. Now, As we move on through pages 204 and 205, all right, we start to encounter all of these different tasks. Now, we have, first of all, in the middle page 204, this question, okay? There are two main lists that the faculty requires. One, a listing of all the applicants for professors on the admissions committee who want to see the applicants listed by decreasing GPA scores. And then they say students with the same GPA should be sorted by decreasing GRE scores. Okay? Well, let's look at task 1A, the query that's there, and let's go to the design view and take a look at it. Okay? Now, we've got the last name of the person we're going to get. We've got the school. And on 1A, I don't know why we really need the school, because they want the applicants, all right, and they want the GPA in descending order and the GRE in descending order. Now, I guess this is so they'll know where they've applied or they're about to be accepted to, so they kind of get a sense of, or maybe it's the school where they're from. And I don't remember if they tell us this up in the case. All right. But if we're working just purely on GPA, there's a simple way. We can keep the school in there, but I'm going to uncheck this right here and we'll suppress that. Now, again, when we do sorts in Excel, pardon me, in Access or any database, the first sort is the primary sort. The next one is the secondary sort. And you remember we did those primary and secondary sorts when we were working in Excel. We added a level. The same principle here. So let's run this. Okay. And we've got last name. We've got the GPA, and students who have the same GPA. Here's Hunter and Bennett, have their GRE scores in descending order. And then here we see Roush, Rowe, Burkle, Gonzalez, Maliz. There's that number of people, that group of people whose GPA is 3.6, and as you can see, their GRE is in descending order. All right, so we're able to differentiate, and what the committee is doing is they're differentiating, okay, on the basis of, if they have people in the same GPA, then it's simple. Okay, well, can I separate them out on the basis of GRE? Okay, so that's pretty much all that's going on. Now we can go back down to the design view, okay, and we could say, all right, let's go back over here to the view for a minute, and we have people down here who have GPAs down. Now we start to get into the area where people with a GPA lower than 3, okay, and we want to ask ourselves, all right, is there, how much correlation is there between GPA and GRE, for example? And you'd want to look at that, and you could, if you wanted to, as we did, you could run a regression line. You recall we did that, and see, you see the extent to which these two follow along with each other. Okay, we could do a scattergram. We could run a correlation coefficient. All right, if we wanted to. We could also, if we chose, we could eliminate, okay, somebody whose GPA is less than 3. And we can go in there and we'll just do this. We'll go to GPA. Okay, and let's see. Let's put the criteria is, and we'll put it greater than 3.1. Now let's see what we get. And there we have it. Everybody who's above 3.1. All right. And that will, but again, you know, that might depend on how we want to do these. Now, if we're really determined to look at how these might correlate, all right, then, you know, it's pretty simple. We could say, is GPA a predictor of GRE? So what we're going to do is we're going to close this off for a sec, okay? And we'll keep this, we'll save the changes. And then this task 1A, here's what I'm going to do. As you probably have guessed, I'm going to export it to Excel. And I'm going to put it on my desktop. And it'll be called task 1A. And I'll click OK. I'm good. Then I'm going to diminish this. All right. Now I'm going to find this task 1A. There's our and let's see here. It's not going to look like a standard file, not with the icon. There it is. And we'll open this up. All right. If we want to now, we've got the name, the GPA, and the GRE. Okay. And we can format the numbers there pretty easy, put them in the middle, and now we're ready to go. All right. Now, we could try to use a correlation coefficient, and let's click on data, and then you'd have to have the data analysis tool pack ready. Okay, and I'm going to put correlation. Click OK, and the input range, okay, is going to be all of this. Pardon me. The input range, okay, is going to be all of this. All right. And I'm going to put labels in first row. Okay. And I want to put it in a new worksheet ply. And I'm going to run it. I'm going to see what we get. All right. Now this will show us the correlation between GRE and GPA, and that correlation is 0.28. So GPA, GRE is really not much of a predictor of, GPA is not much of a predictor of GRE. Okay. Now, if we wanted to see it a little more visually, let's do this. Let's take and we'll put, let's click Insert. Okay, and you notice how we've gone from using Excel back to working with Access, and that's what I said before. We want to let Access be Access, let Excel be Excel. Okay, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click Insert Chart, and I'm going to do a scatter chart. Okay, and I'm going to select the data, and I want to add the legend series. And that's going to be GPA versus GRE, okay? And the X values are going to be, will be the GPA. Okay? And the series Y values, the variable of interest, the GRE. And we click OK. Now, if we want to add labels, okay, we can do that by adding the names, but we're not. Now I see a scattergram, excuse me, of GPA and GRE, and we've got call-outs. We're just kind of doing a quick and dirty here. But what I can also do is this. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say add trend line. And we'll do a linear trend. Okay? We'll come down to the options. And there we are. Now we can also come back and we can format the trend line, make it look bigger, etc. As you can see, it's pretty flat, right? And so we use the correlation coefficient. Now we could we'll get rid of this. And we could try linear regression. So we'll click data, okay? And then we'll go to data analysis. And I'm going to come down here and look for linear regression. Here we go, look for regression. We'll click OK. And it's going to say input the Y range. And so I'm going to come over here and get the GRE. Okay. And I'm going to get the X range, and that's going to be the GPA. Okay. And I'll make sure that it says we have labels, and we're going to want a new worksheet apply, and we'll want the residuals. We'll want a residual plots and a line fit plot, and we want a 95% confidence level. Okay, and we'll click OK because we're going to put it in a new worksheet. Up. Okay, let's see this. Okay, down to C20, it should be C23. My apologies. So I'm going to get, I have to go back here for a minute, recapture them. I didn't get all of them. Oh, we don't. Yeah, we forgot to get the labels. So let me go back here. We'll get this yet. We're going to get column B. Let me start over here like an idiot. Okay, column B, I want the Y input range and I want the labels. So I'm going to start over here. Come down to 23. And then I'm going to get the X range. Wait a minute. Yee, I'm hurrying. All right, I'm going to click. The Y range is going to be C1 to C23. I am so sorry about this. It needs to be C23. And the input for the X range should be B2, and that should be B1 to B23, and we'll put labels. And I think now we're ready. And there's our residual, the line fit plot. And of course we have, and the nice thing about this is we can not only display this visually, okay, but if I want to, I've also got some summary output in terms of R squared, adjust R squared standard even. And I probably, the R squared tells me that there's only about the amount of variation between these explained by the comparison is only about 7%. There's our adjusted R squared. So there's not much relationship between GPA and GRE. So we'll save that, because it was fun to work with. Okay, now we're going to go back over here, and we've done task number 1, okay? And we're going to come over here and we're going to start with task 1B. And I'm going to go into design view. All right. Now here in task 1B, and I'm not even going to look at the textbook. I'm going to assume that they want the last name, the school the person was accepted in, their GPA, and their reference scores on descending basis. So we're saying, okay, now GPAs, and they want them descending. So we're going to come back up here, and people who have the same GPA, and the GPA will be in descending order, we will have their references scores put in descending order. And that's how, if they're tied on GPA, then that's how we differentiate people. Okay? No big deal there. And they're looking at these factors. Okay? Yes, I want to save the changes. Now we come down here, and in task 2, right, the clerks want to have an absolutely fast access, blah, blah, blah. This is task number 2. Okay? Well, here's what we're going to do. One of our old standbys is we're going to create a form. Okay? I'll click on the Hollister Case 5 table. Then I'm going to click Create. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to come over into the Forms area, and I'm going to create a split form. And then I'll pull that back, and we have a nice little tool that lets me go record by record. It lets me insert new records. It lets me see what happens to the table. Now, if I'm all that, hyped out about not having it show me, or it's distracting, it's simple. I just close it. But I still can do a search. Okay. Now let me see if hi, this is Larry, and I'm going to do a search here. Okay. And I can do the search on the. I can do the search. This is Larry. Oh, okay. I can look for Larry. No, Larry. Well, is it Lawrence by any case? Yeah, it's my formal name, but my nickname is Larry. And, what I might want to do also to improve this is to add a nickname into this. But now the admissions people have exactly what they want. They can immediately call up some data. They can have also some other columns like, notes about what's going on, or how the person responded when they called in, etc. But for all intents and purposes, I'm good to go here. And so I'm going to close this. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it Hollister. And so we've done task number 2. Let's open the shutters back over again. And here we called it Hollister. Let's just go ahead and call this, let's rename it task 2. Okay? Now, we're going to move on through it. And my hope is that as you watch the videos, okay, as you watch them, as you rewatch them, which you should, you'll start to get a good comfort level with what I'm doing, and you'll be able maybe to open a file up and look at it and really start to see what we're doing. Okay? There's nothing different about me recording a screencast and then uploading it than the years gone by where I stood in a class at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I went through a case. I said, now you'll need to be listening, you'll need to have your files up and all that, so you can always go back and look at it and rewatch it, just like you watch game film. Because I can guarantee you, when you get to the hands-on part of exams, you're always going to be getting something, or hands part where you got to do something we've been working with. Okay, so this is Hollister University, and we've created a form. Now they have task 3, and they want the applicants who are children of the corn, children of the alumni. Let's look at this for a minute. And we'll go to the design view and say, why do you keep doing that? So you can see, all right, what objects you're using and what type of sort or filter or operations you're using. And here we are, okay? We've got their last name, the school they're accepted to, their GPA, their GRE, and again, we have these in descending order, GPA and GRE, and then we have, are they children of the corn? Are they children of alumni? And we have yes. So we want to see us run this, and here it is, and we have those who are children of the corn. And we have only them, okay? So like in the famous film Animal House, where they have a legacy frat member of that fraternity there in Animal House, you too can have legacy students admitted, okay? Football, big-time college football schools do this, where the dad was a great player or a good player, and then, you know, that son comes along and he's good, so they give him a legacy scholarship. The one I'm most familiar with most recently was the young man at OU. His father died, and Coach Stoops kind of raised him, and Sterling Shepard, and his father's name was Darryl Shepard. Okay, and Darryl died tragically. He's a great football player, and Sterling was lights out. And so it kind of a legacy. Oh, so we're doing one of these deals, okay? And we may say, well, you know, we have a if you're a child of an alumni of an alumni, we want to make sure you're included. So I call it the children of the corn task, but it's task 3 officially in the database. Say yes. Then we come to task number 4, and I bet you I can tell what that's all about. Here we're going to look at them. We have their name and their major, their GPA, and their references. Okay. On task number 4, they say they want to report that gives them applicants by college major, showing their name, the GPA, and their references. Okay. And this is an issue that the education school is loading up with a bunch of natural science majors. In other words, the folks over in education are rating the science department to get brighter students. Okay? And so we've got their major. All right. Now, we probably, since we've got the GPA, you know, I would do this. Okay? I would sort them by GPA. That's just maybe in descending order. And I would and the same thing with references. And let's see what that looks like. Okay. Now we kind of get it to, now we can get to a kind of a different start. Now, if I had 400 of these or 100 or 50 of these, here's what I'm going to do. I'll just show you real fast. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to export this out to Excel, where I can put it in and run a pivot table and analyze these data. You say, what do you mean? Let me open this up, okay? We want to know, okay, engineering. Now, I can do it on the fly in here, so I'm going to click major, and then I'll come up here, and I'm just going to do a filter, and I'm going to get everybody who's a business major. Okay, 3.6, references of 4. All right, I'm going to toggle that off, and I'm going to get engineers, 3.8, 3.6. Okay, kind of getting a look at them. English majors, there we go. You can see how if I wanted to, I could again put this into a report, or if I'm in a meeting, do this on the fly. Okay, not a big deal. See? And then we'll just toggle the filter and get it off. So I have it all laid out. We could do the filtering in here. The truth is we're really interested more in filtering these records. So we could do them and embed them in a report. We could do it on a fly. It matters not. All right. So we've done task number 4. And task number 5. Calculate the average scores by major on all quantitative variables and display the number of applicants from each group. Okay. Now, let's look. Here we have task 5. And we're going to open it up. And here we have the majors, their average GPA. Okay. And on all of the quantitative variables, GPA, GRE, SA, and references. And you said, where did that come from? This gives me an occasion to show you a nice little tool. I'm going to click task 5, statistics by major. Okay. And then I'm going to click database tools. And I'm going to click object dependencies. I'll click OK. And I want to find out where task 5 came from. This says the objects that depend on me, objects that I depend on. And we just used the Hollister table to create this. Okay. No big deal there. And then we have task 4. That here's the report of the applicants by major. And again, this is from the table, okay? And they go ahead and incorporate the average. All right, I'm going to try this just using a. We're going to try this using a. We're going to do a. We're going to try it to do a report wizard. So let's create, and I'm going to do the report wizard, and I want to use the Hollister table. Okay, this is task 5, and we want the last name. Okay, and the average scores by major. Okay, so I'm going to get their major. Okay, and then let's see, let's go back up here. And we're going to get their GPA. We're going to get their GRE. We're going to get their essay score and the references score. And we're going to click next. Now we're going to group these, okay, by major. All right. And we're going to go next. Let's look at the grouping option. No, we don't have to do anything there. And we'll click next. And we can put these data in ascending order. But the key part right here is the summary options. Click that. And we want the average for each of those. Okay, and the report will give us detail and all that we want. So click OK, and I'll click next. And I'm going to put this in a landscape because it could be wider in terms of visual acuity than I want. I click next, and then I click finish, and there we are. Now we'd have to do a little bit of work here, okay, to move them over, but we have them by major there, and we have the summary, the average, okay, for each of them, and we're good. And I'm not going to mess around with that. We'll just leave it as it is. Okay, folks. Well, that's case number 5, which is of course Hollister. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll close this, and I have the database. This is called Hollister, Harmon, Keith, and I'm going to upload it over here. So I'm going to go back into Canvas here. All right. And I want to move this out of the way for just a second. Go to the files. And I'm going to upload that access file, create Cascade. There's Cascade Harmon Keith 1. I want Hollister. And let's find Hollister. Where are you, my friend? Here it is, Hollister Harmon Keith. Open it up. And it should be loading up. And you can use that, okay, to upload the file or one that you work on. But whatever you do, get it turned in on time. Don't lose the credit. And you'll see it down here, Hollister. There's that Hollister, and here's Hollister Access. There's another one. And then as you come down, you should see Hollister Harmon. So there's 2 or 3 files you can upload. And I tell you this so you can upload them to get the workshop credit and then work on them. If you want to work on a file and upload it and submit it, I'm fine with that. I've shown you how to do it already. The reason I do is that my hope is that you'll say, okay, this video is something I can come back and visit and learn. Or if I have a question, I can contact Dr. Harmon. I can say, here's my question. Here's the name of the video. Here's the time mark. What did we do there? Okay? And I can try to answer your question. Well, folks, that'll do it. And I'm going to stop the share and then stop the recording.